Hi there, my name is Jay, and I'm a former professional wrestling editor and producer, here to share my perspective about current or recent events. Welcome to Wrestling Reviewed.
Impact Wrestling has just celebrated its 21st birthday, a milestone many would have thought impossible just a few years ago. But as last month's Against All Odds event, growing live attendances, international tours, and most importantly, solid quality shows have proven, Impact Wrestling is on the rise again.
Alright, so let's lead into this review with sort of a personal anecdote. I discovered TNA around 2007, 2008ish while it was still airing on Eurosport where I lived. And so it wasn't until 2009 where we got broadband internet at home before I could finally watch TNA's pay-per-views as they aired. So I still vividly remember TNA Slammiversary 2009 being one of the first pay-per-views I could watch live, drinking tons of caffeine to stay up and witness the conclusion of the show at, I believe it was 5 a.m. in the morning. And I still remember this pay-per-view, and especially the ending of that pay-per-view, because Samoa Joe swerved everyone at the end, and it made no sense at all. None whatsoever. Kind of created an unforgettable moment for me, though. I still talk about it today, obviously. And so let's see if the 2023 version of Slammiversary will be just as memorable, and if it's going to be for the same reasons, or very different reasons. Let's go.
Impact Wrestling's Slammiversary took place on July 15, 2023, on the campus of Clair College in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Various reports indicate that around 1,500 people attended the show live, and around 4,400 traditional pay-per-view were sold, which is the highest number since Rebellion 2021. We kick things off with a video package that features sound bites of the Steiner Math promo, which got a nice chuckle out of me.
The opening contest is one of my favorite match types in TNA history, the Ultimate X match, which is best described as sort of a ladder match, but without any ladders involved. And it's been quite spectacular in the past, and I'm really looking forward to this one, though I must admit I've got some high expectations for this one.
As soon as the bell sounds, everyone starts to climb the structure, but something keeps picking off all the other competitors one by one. Kevin Knight impressively leaps onto his shoulders to almost unhook the prize. Something catches him and launches him into the other wrestlers outside of the ring with a nasty-looking powerbomb throw. Something now carefully climbs the structure, but he takes forever, so Alan Angels is able to stop him. This distraction is enough for Kushida and Kevin Knight to kick him. Everyone dropkicks Jake Something, and Alan Angels clotheslines him out of the ring. Now everyone is fighting everyone again. Knight with an impressive dropkick on Bailey. He misses another crossbody jump, and Bailey and Gresham show some nice teamwork with a cutter and then armbar. Gresham with a moonsault and topi, and Bailey follows his example and hits a moonsault to the outside of the ring. Bailey and Gresham then both climb the structure and start fighting. Angels joins them and hits a nasty looking Spanish fly. I really hope he didn't hurt himself there. He slowly climbs the top rope, but Kushida charges at him and drops him to the outside with the help of Kevin Knight's impressive dropkick. Now Kushida starts climbing, but Bailey follows him upwards. Knight gets kicked down and Bailey drops Kushida too. Bailey climbs to the top of the structure and does a breathtaking moonsault from the Ultimate X structure as the crowd goes wild. Bailey fights off Jake Something and tries to climb the cables over the X. Alan Angels drops him with a steel chair and starts unloading on everyone with a chair, as it is a no DQ match, so why didn't he just do that from the beginning? Angels starts climbing, but Kevin Knight interrupts him, so Angels hits a poisoned Rana from the top of the cables. Jonathan Gresham receives a low blow from Angels, who eventually gets taken down by Jake Something, who smashes him into the steel truss. Something scales the cables, but Angels low blows the big man. Kushida and Angels scale the cable at the same time, followed by Mike Bailey. Angels drops Bailey with another low blow, and Kushida just sorta punches Angels a couple of times before he drops too. Kushida uses the opportunity to win the match and secure himself a title shot in the future.
So yeah, I really enjoyed this matchup. It had most of the things I was looking forward to. High intensity, high speed, high spots. They really worked their ass off to get the crowd into it and pump them up for the show. But I must admit, compared to what happened during the rest of the match, the finish was a bit boring, I felt like, and even anticlimactic in a way. But that doesn't take away the effort the guys put into the match. They did a really great job, and I'm giving this one a B+.
Kenny King, who won the Digital Media Championship in the pre-show, gets interviewed and runs down former champion Joe Hendry and all of the other champions by comparing them to social media websites.
After fighting each other in a brutal dog collar match, Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich are now teaming. They're challenging for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships, and they've been getting the better of the champions in singles matches in the lead up to this match, but it doesn't necessarily translate to tag team success. So let's see if they can dethrone the champions.
Kelly and Taylor Wilde start things off and just sort of stare at each other for a while. Wilde hits Kelly and Masha comes into the ring to attack the champions both at once with Wilde tag team offense into the corner. Kelly hits a suplex after everything calmed down. The challengers remain in control and Kelly hits a soccer kick to Taylor Wilde's face. Masha then comes in and unloads on Wilde with a nasty dropkick. Wilde counters a suplex and tags in King. The champs show some tag team offense to gain the upper hand in this matchup. King batters Masha and keeps working her. Masha avoids a charge into a corner and hits a nice double foot stomp on King before tagging in Killer Kelly and following with another kick to the face. Kylan King kicks Kelly and both sort of just collide as Kelly gets sent throat first into the ropes. That whole sequence was a bit wonky, but Wilde wastes no time working Killer Kelly and cutting the ring in half. King with impactful double knees into the corner for a 2 count and then a forward roll senton, but misses a senton from the second rope. Killer Kelly manages to tag in Slamovich, who takes down the champs with wild kicks and knee strikes. Masha with a huge spinning heel kick for 2. Masha with a combination of strikes and kicks, and Kylan King has to save her partner from a pinfall. Killer Kelly headbutts Kylan King, who butts back. Wilde hits a codebreaker and King hits a German suplex after that. King misses double knee strikes and Kelly hits a headbutt on Wilde, and follows with a butterfly suplex. A hurting dropkick into the corner, and Masha dives off the top rope with a long missile dropkick. The challengers hit a double knee strike, but King saves Taylor Wilde, who hits the Witch's Wrath. Kelly drags King out of the ring, and Masha hits a snowplow for the win, which the camera unfortunately sorta misses. Masha and Kelly celebrate their win as we see the replay of the finishing move.
I thought this was a really solid match. I really enjoyed how everyone involved wrestled. Even though there was a sequence in there that wasn't super clean, it was still very enjoyable. Masha and Kelly, they have great chemistry as a team, I think. And the Coven was also great. The only gripe I have is that it was a bit on the shorter side. And so I felt like I would have liked to see a little bit more to make the champions look a little bit stronger in defeat. But as it is, I'm giving this one a B.
We get a recap of the feud with Bully Ray and Scott D'Amore that had picked up again after Against All Odds. Unfortunately, Steve Macklin had to drop out of the match, so Diener is his replacement. Additionally, PCO was assaulted on an episode of Impact Wrestling, essentially being written out of this storyline. Scott D'Amore has yet to announce a replacement, so he's bringing a mystery partner to this matchup.
I don't know about you guys, but I usually love a good surprise. So unfortunately, with the heavy foreshadowing that was done on TV, this event taking place in Canada, Scott's history with Team Canada, the quote-unquote mystery opponent or partner, wasn't much of a mystery at all. Still, if you ask me, it's a pretty good return to TV and a nice addition to the Impact Wrestling roster, so I'm gonna take it.
And then to no one's surprise, the mystery tag team partner was Team Canada's own Eric Young, who was written out of TV last year by being stabbed by Cody Diener. His return got a really nice reaction out of the crowd in Canada. EY just stares at Diener, who's looking shocked and genuinely scared as he tags in Bully Ray. EY takes control of Bully and tags in Scott D'Amore. Bully sorta looks like his head is about to explode. They waste a lot of time and play to the crowd until Diener and D'Amore finally lock up. Diener rakes the eyes, but D'Amore hits an impressive leg lariat and knee drop to Diener, then drops a leg onto him. D'Amore tags in EY and they both hit a death drop on Diener. D'Amore then hits an axe handle from the top. Diener hits a sky-high spinebuster, but Con of the design stable distracts D'Amore, so Bully Ray is able to jump Scott D'Amore from behind. Diener bites Scott's forehead and tags in Bully Ray. Bully throws Scott out of the ring and Trish talks to an old lady in the crowd who turns out to be Scott's mother as he hits Scott in the head. Bully keeps working Scott while EY leads the crowd to sing the Canadian national anthem. No, seriously. Bully Ray meanwhile low blows Scott D'Amore, but the ref doesn't DQ him and takes off the shirt. Special Enforcer Darren McCarthy takes over the match now. Eventually, Scott fights back and tags in EY, who takes out Dino with a top rope fake and discus clothesline. EY then hits a huge piledriver in Diener, but Khan pulls the referee out and attacks EY. Team Canada's A1, who was sitting in the crowd, takes out Khan. McCarthy hits a stunner on Bully Ray, and Scott D'Amore hits a what's up on Bully Ray. Team Canada calls for tables which land in the ring. Scott and McCarthy chokeslam Bully through the table, and Diener tries to hit D'Amore with a hockey stick, but he gets the Canadian Destroyer for his troubles. EY hits Diener with an elbow drop, and they win.
So this match was as entertaining as it was chaotic, and even though it was great to see EY back, it wasn't a match that featured him much. Matter of fact, it wasn't much of a match at all, and it could have used more structure. I mean, it served its purpose as it was an endpoint for the feud between Scott D'Amore and Bully Ray, and the heel finally got his comeuppance, and it was great to see Team Canada reunite, but that's about it. I was decently entertained, but it could have been a way better match.
Nick Aldis gets time to speak, and he talks about history and tradition of the wrestling business. He wants Shelley to prove he belongs with the legends of the business. Apparently Nick Aldis is a closer and only needs 1 second to close the book on Alex Shelley. Lio Rush attacks Chris Sabin before the match with a kick and tope and injures him. Sabin waves off the doctor's concern and wants to start the match anyway. After 2 frog splashes, Lio Rush pins Chris Sabin and wins the X Division Championship.
This was so confusing to me. It was an utterly bizarre angle considering that Chris Sabin just won the X Division Championship at the previous month's event. So initially I thought Chris Sabin might have been injured, unfit to wrestle this match, and that's why they did it this way, but that turned out not to be the case. Without spoiling too much, he worked the next night's taping, so he was fine, apparently. So I have no idea why they did this, because a lot of people, myself included, were really looking forward to seeing these two wrestle.
They try to interview Chris Sabin's tag team partner Alex Shelley, but he just walks away. We then get footage of Trinity and Deonna Purrazzo preparing for their match tonight.
I can't help but feel that they put together this match to cram as many people as they could onto the card, and if so, good on them for giving everyone a payday. But also with the rules being everyone can tag in anyone at any time, this has the potential to be very chaotic. Though all of these teams trying to compete for the title makes it seem really contested, that's a great thing. I think they made the tag team titles seem really important. Good job on this one.
Bay and Andrews start off with a lot of energy, trying to get one up on the other. They end their sequence with a double foot stomp by Bay, who tags in his partner Ace Austin, who goes for a submission hold. Andrews maneuvers out and both go for old-fashioned chain wrestling. Andrews manages to tag his partner Webster, and both pull off some nice double team flipping offense. Webster then goes to work on Austin and hits a nice springboard moonsault. Rich Swann tags in and hits a whopping dropkick. Swann and Callahan pull off a nice team crossbody. Callahan then hits a double shoulder breaker. Myers storms in with a knee strike, and then him and Moose try to double power bombs, but Rich Swann fights out of it. He then goes on to hit a cannonball dive off the apron to almost no reaction. ABC dive to the outside, but Moose catches Bay and throws him onto the apron. Austin fights Myers and Moose, but gets speared on the apron. Mark Andrews flies out of nowhere, and Callahan throws Webster to the outside with a DVD as the match takes a little breather. Callahan and Swann go for double team offense, but Webster tries to fight them both, and eats double super kicks and then a DVD, followed by a splash from Rich Swann. Swann then goes for a 450, but Webster gets out of the way. Austin uses the opportunity to get the upper hand, and ABC try tag team offense with a backbreaker kick combination. Moose and Myers hit double power bombs on the champions and then go for a move on Swann, but he tags out. Andrews hits a backflip kick on both of them. Andrews then can't take Moose down and eats a brutal kick, but he hits a stunner on Moose. Webster follows up with a senton, but the pin gets broken up. Callahan eats a kick by Austin, but he takes down Subculture with a double clothesline. Moose lights up the champions, but eats a double cutter after a springboard attempt. This match is going at 100 miles per hour, so it's nice that they all take a break now. ABC take out Callahan with spin kicks, but can't pin Subculture as the Rascals interfere in the match and take out the champions. Webster hits a reverse DDT on Myers and dives to the outside, while Andrews hits a shooting star press on Myers to win Subculture the Tag Team Championships.
Picture me impressed. All of the teams involved went at full speed for almost the entirety of the match. That made it a little bit hard to call, so apologies if I didn't cover every single move in my review, but it was so much fun to watch. It was highly energetic, it had some great spots in there, it was so much fun to watch. I'm just a little bit disappointed that the crowd wasn't super into it. They weren't as reactive as I had hoped they would be, even though they got a bit into it more at the end. It was very fun to watch. That's my only gripe with this one. I think Subculture is a very talented team, and I definitely think they deserve the recognition. And here I'm in favor with the interference finish because it makes the champions look strong in defeat, and it gives them something to do after they lost the belts. So overall, I'm giving this one a B+.
Thankfully, Frankie Kazarian and Eddie Edwards continued their feud after Against All Odds, and they get the opportunity to have another match to make up for their disappointing first encounter. Both go for an intense lockup and straight up slap each other. Frankie takes down Edwards with a head scissor and headlock takeover. Edwards fights back and fails to control the match. It's not long until Alicia Edwards gets involved, but Traci Brooks returns the favor, allowing Cass to hit a backstabber. Kazarian then slows the match way down with a headlock takeover and rest hold. Edwards just dumps him outside of the ring and goes to work. Nice overhead suplex by Edwards once they get back into the ring. Edwards remains in control with a lot of chops to Cass. He misses a clothesline and Cass sends him flying with a belly-to-belly suplex. Now Edwards is sent to the outside and Cass follows up with a beautiful Hurricane Rana to the outside. Alicia Edwards rakes Cass's back, but Eddie uses that distraction to hit a quick tope on Cass. All of a sudden the match comes to a grinding halt as the heels pander to the crowd on the outside and nothing really happens for a while. Back in the ring, both exchange strikes until Cass gets the upper hand with a spinning heel kicks and some more strikes. The springboard leg drop gets repeated because Edwards wasn't in the right position the first time. These two just don't click. Edwards hits a Gamengiri into the corner and hits a backpack stunner for a 2 count. Edwards puts Kazarian back on the top rope, hitting a slow superplex, taking both men out and taking a break. Edwards goes for a chicken wing, but Kazarian gets out, missing a knee strike but turning Edwards inside out with a slam for 2. Both take a nasty spill to the outside, holding on to a suplex, and both stay down for a while again. Cass pulls Edwards into a cover, getting a decent reaction out of the crowd. Suddenly, the referee gets taken out by Cass, and both men hit each other with a clothesline for another double down. Boy, someone wanted breaks in there. Alicia Edwards grabs a kendo stick and gets into the ring, but Traci follows her and takes her out of the equation with a clothesline. Kazarian gets Edwards into a submission and he taps, but there's no referee. Kazarian revives the referee, but Edwards hits Cass with a kendo stick in a moment of distraction, follows up with a knee strike, and picks up the victory.
Once again, I found these two to have a rather disappointing and boring matchup. They wrestled a lot slower this time around, which resulted in a cleaner matchup, but also one that looked less intense, and I think that makes no sense considering the point of their feud that they're in right now. Just as they were building up some steam and getting the crowd into it towards the end, they deflated all of the tension that they had built with the ref bump and false finish. So everything considered, I'm giving this one a C.
Up next is the Knockouts Championship match between Trinity and Deonna Purrazzo. Both started out fighting together with a common enemy, but slowly started turning at each other once their title match grew closer. Deonna gets a special treatment entrance with a live performance of her theme on a violin. Trinity, on the other hand, gets a huge reaction by the crowd. She seems super over. Deonna gets control early on, but Trinity doesn't back down. The importance of this match shines through the actions of both competitors. They do a great job. Purazzo seems to have a counter for everything as she turns a roll-up into an armbar attempt. Trinity fires back with a dropkick, but Purazzo takes a break on the outside. She eats a twisting crossbody for her troubles. She follows it up with another crossbody to the inside, but Purazzo prevents the springboard move from happening, sending Trinity crashing into the mat, regaining control of the match. Deonna targets Trinity's arm, potentially to get her armbar on Trinity. I like the rolling arm snaps Purazzo does. She follows those with a suplex. Trinity tries to come back but misses her leg drop. Deonna Purrazzo hits a gnarly dropkick. Another comeback attempt is thwarted with an arm takedown, putting the champion firmly in control of the match. Purazzo charges at Trinity but misses, however the champion still drops Trinity to the mat and transitions into a submission hold and hits a clothesline for good measure. Trinity eventually manages to hit a kick from the corner and mounts a comeback with some heavy strikes and a Samoan drop. Now finally she's able to connect with the springboard kick for a 2 count. She nicely transitions her cover into a submission hold. Both go back and forth with pinfalls, and Purazzo counters head scissors with a picture-perfect reverse piledriver for a 2 count. Purazzo with a knee lift and transitions from a leg sweep into an armbar, but Trinity makes it to the ropes. Trinity manages to come back with a springboard facebuster and split-legged moonsault. Trinity puts Purazzo on the apron, but the champion hits a piledriver on her on the apron instead. Somewhere in the match, Purazzo got a bleeding nose, but I hope it's just a scratch and nothing worse. Purazzo sets up Trinity on the top rope and goes for her piledriver again, but Trinity fights out and manages to hit a Baba Bomb. She goes for a cover, but changes her mind and goes for her Starstruck submission hold, eventually forcing the champion to give up the match. The crowd pops big time as Trinity becomes the new Knockouts champion.
While I enjoyed the match for the most part, I really thought it lacked some intensity that you'd expect from this kind of match in the beginning. But they were technically sound and they had a great structure, they told a great story, so at the end they won me over. All things considered, I'm giving this one a B-. It could have been just a tiny bit better, but it was still a great effort by both.
It's now time for the main event, the Impact World Championship between Nick Aldis and Alex Shelley. The build for this match was solid. Aldis turned on Shelley the episode after Alex Shelley won the title. Both have been in verbal exchanges and few physical exchanges too. It's a simple story, but sometimes that is all that is needed for a match like this. Shelley, being the babyface, spits water at Aldis, which isn't very babyface-like, but he's pissed off from what was said in the build of the match. He instantly charges at Aldis and hammers him with punches in the corner. Aldis returns the favor with a powerbomb and locks in the cloverleaf early. Shelley is able to get to the ropes after a lot of fight, staying in the hold for an eternity. Aldis goes to work on Shelley's upper body, whipping him sternum first into the corner. Pump handle slam by Aldis. Lots of heelish plotting off it. At one point, Aldis catches a dive by Shelley and beautifully throws him into a suplex. Shelley fights back, attacking Aldis' knees with leg screws and kicks. Shelley tries a figure 4, but Aldis rolls out of the ring. He catches Shelley's dive attempt with the ring apron and lights him up. He then slams Shelley into the ring post, and I dig that the focus of his offense is on Alex Shelley's back. Aldis is looking to suplex Alex Shelley to the floor, but Shelley drops Aldis across the top rope. Now Shelley stomps the arm of his opponent and gets raked in the eyes for his troubles. Shelley sends Aldis into the steel post while someone in the crowd laughs like a maniac. Shelley now sticking Aldis' fingers into the turnbuckle screw. Yikes! He keeps the pressure on Aldis' hands as the action finally comes back into the ring. Now Shelley hits a chop block and Aldis collapses only for him to go for Alex Shelley's eyes again. Shelley returns the favor with more attacks on the arm and fingers of his opponent. Aldis with a clothesline, taking Shelley down, but not able to make a pin. He goes to the top rope, but Shelley cuts him off, hitting a superplex. We just had this exact same spot 2 matches ago, people. Both exchange strikes, and Shelley eventually drives his opponent into the middle turnbuckle. The super kick is blocked, but so is the cloverleaf. Shelley rolls up Aldis and hits sliced bread, only to beautifully transition into the Border City stretch. Shelley prevents the cloverleaf again by grabbing Aldis' fingers, which he supposedly dislocates. Ouch! This doesn't stop Aldis from hitting a tombstone and elbow drop for a close 2 count, however. A frustrated Aldis grabs the Impact World title belt, but Shelley hits a super kick and takes the belt. He hesitates and gives the belt to the referee. Of course, the heel uses this distraction to hit a low blow and Falcon Arrow, but Shelley thankfully kicks out to a big reaction. Aldis again with the belt, but he misses a shot and gets DDT'd on the belt. Super kick, shell shock, and pinfall by Alex Shelley to retain the title. As Shelley celebrates his victory, he gets interrupted by the returning Josh Alexander. Now I gotta be honest, I don't know much about him, but judging by the crowd's reaction, he was a very important player in Impact Wrestling in the recent years. He's supposedly a former world champion and didn't lose the belt due to injury. Naturally, he has a sight set on the world champion Alex Shelley.
This one was another really great matchup by Alex Shelley, who I think has been on a main event role as of late. The story they told was simple but effective, and I really enjoyed how everything played out, even though I was surprised that he beat Nick Aldis as cleanly and as decisively as he did. But it's great to see that they go out of the way to make Alex Shelley look strong as a champion. That's very enjoyable. I must say I'm not thinking this one was as good as the match with Steve Macklin that they had the previous month, but it was still a solid matchup. I'm giving this one a B+.
This has been another really solid show that was entertaining to watch. This time around there were less bad matches, but the ones that weren't great were all the more disappointing. Also, I'm baffled by the events that transpired with the non-match between Chris Sabin and Lio Rush. I can definitely recommend watching this show, and I want to give some praise to the commentary team. They do a relatively good job supporting the storylines, giving context to the wrestlers and filling out the blanks left by the video packages. If it wouldn't be for them, the product would be less complete. Production was also good, but the camera cuts kept missing some moves and finishes even. Doing a live show is more complicated than a tape one, and I understand the challenges that come with that, but I just hope that the production team will get a bit quicker on the draw next time around. Sadly, while this pay-per-view was really solid, there wasn't a spectacular standout match this time around. Still, overall this is a B-rated show, so you'll have a good time watching this one. That's it from my side. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't hesitate to leave a comment and suggestions, and maybe check out my Against All Odds review if you haven't seen it yet. Take care, and until next time.